Huge thank you to Square Enix for inviting me out to this event. You guys know that I'm not that much of an RPG guy because I honestly kinda suck at them, but when Square Enix presented me the opportunity to play some of their RPGs coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, I figured it would be a great chance to check these games out for you guys because of course we all want the Nintendo Switch 2 to get good third-party support. So, I got to play both Final Fantasy VII Remake as well as Dragon Quest I and II Remake. So, all of these are coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and those are the versions that I got to play. Keep in mind that any gameplay that you see on screen is not the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. I believe that the B-roll that they sent me to include in this video was not from the Nintendo Switch 2 version, but rest assured, something I do want to get out of the way is that I played these games both in handheld mode. I did not play the dock mode, and I thought both games looked and ran really well in handheld mode. So I kind of want to get that out of the way first. Without any further ado, I'm quickly going to talk about kind of the main event, as this is the embargo that I had to wait for, which is Dragon Quest I+2 Remake, which is obviously a ground-up 2D HD remake of the original Dragon Quest and Dragon Quest II. I actually did get to play both games, or at least sections from both games, so let's start off with Dragon Quest I and what I thought of it. I played a mission in Dragon Quest I where there was this swindler that lost a key and it was stolen by a thug named Robin Hood. Get it? Robin Hood, okay, whatever. And it was our job in a solo party, no one else in our party, just one character, to go and retrieve the key that Robin Hood had taken. This mission was actually very difficult. When I fought Robin Hood, I did not beat him just because I did not have the skills necessary to do that, but the representative at Square Enix kind of told me as much, told me that it would be a very hard boss fight, so I'm not overly disappointed. But what I love about this RPG is that actually looking at the visuals, it gave me a lot of vibes of stuff that like Camelot would do. Now keep in mind, this is my first time actually truly playing a 2D HD RPG game, so I've been kind of missing out, but like if you've played like something like Golden Sun or even the Mario sports game RPGs on like the Game Boy Advance, deep cut I know, but those are what this reminds me of in terms of its art style, in terms of the visuals, in terms of the sprite work. It's just so beautifully done that I actually really had a good time in terms of just looking at the game, the map, the splendor. I actually also really enjoyed the soundtrack. I wish the B-roll that Square Enix sent me included the soundtrack just so that I can have you guys listen to some of it, because I actually really liked the battle theme from Dragon Quest I, at least really stood out, so I wish I could show that to you guys, but it was really good, and just the gameplay overall was really freaking solid. Where I was really impressed though, and where I spent definitely more of my time with Dragon Quest, was with Dragon Quest II. Here, we actually had to go on a mission where we had to basically climb this lighthouse where this sigil guy would kind of pop up occasionally and we had to make our way up to him, but this lighthouse was an absolute maze, and you had to navigate your way through it, all while being attacked by various enemies. Now, I never played the original Dragon Quest, so I can't speak to how this felt in the original game, but what I love about this is actually two things. Firstly, there's actually kind of a permadeath thing. In like RPGs like Mario and Luigi, you kind of become alive again in your next battle, but your characters, when they die, they're dead until you reach like a church or something, so you gotta make sure to strategize how you're actually attacking using each character. And secondly, something that I thought was really good is, now, as someone who is really bad at RPGs, I like that whenever your whole party dies, you can just reload and autosave, which for me ended up being any time I went up a flight of stairs. So even though the battles were really freaking tough for me, it wasn't too bad because it was very lenient with whenever you died, how you could respawn, and how you could proceed. So I never felt like I was really losing progress whenever I got all my party members killed. And I actually really enjoyed that as someone who's not overly good at RPGs. Also, a feature I really liked in the game was with the battling system. There are actually two things that I liked. Firstly, you could choose the battle speed. I don't know if that's commonplace in RPGs, but having it on ultra fast makes battles so snappy, and I really truly appreciate that. but secondly, I actually really like that there's a way, and this is something they kind of told me to do in the beginning, that I can choose which party members I want to control. I can just watch all of these characters do the battles if I wanted, or I can play as all of them and make all of them attack in certain ways, or I can go half and half. And that's what I ended up doing. I ended up having 2 characters that I mainly controlled and 2 characters that kind of did their own thing. I honestly use that as a way for, right, I'm in control of these 2 characters. These 2 characters have their strengths and their spells and their abilities, but then there are other 2 characters where, since I'm not that great at RPGs and I never really know what to do, I kind of felt like those 2 would pick up my slack and do the things that I didn't do that maybe I should have done. And they were really, really good at that. I believe one of them was really good at healing, so they did that a lot for me, and I just felt like each character felt unique enough to where I really appreciated it. And one of the characters in the party, I forget who, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, is actually completely new. She was not originally a playable party member in the original Dragon Quest II. So lots of new content here for people who wanted some updates and some new things, but it seems like it definitely holds a lot of what made Dragon Quest special in the beginning to begin with. Now, let's move on to what I was actually really excited for, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake. When I was a kid, I watched my older stepbrother play the original Final Fantasy VII, so having the new version here for me to play kind of feels like a full circle moment in a kind of way. But what I can say about the gameplay on the Switch 2, especially in handheld mode, it was really freaking solid, because this game is obviously more demanding in terms of the visuals and the performance, especially over something like Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD Remake, and I thought it did super well for being in handheld mode. I'm honestly shocked. Like, it ran at a stable, definitely between 30 to 40 FPS. Like, it was pretty dang smooth. Now, I'm not a frame rate hog, so like I don't notice things as much as everyone else does, so maybe there were some dips, but like it was really smooth and I really enjoyed the gameplay that it had. I actually played through chapter 2, which involved you know, seeing Sephiroth pop up and these Dementor looking monsters flying around. Now, if you've played Final Fantasy VII Remake, obviously you've seen this cutscene, you've seen all this before, but like I said, I never played Final Fantasy VII Remake, so actually playing it on the Switch 2 and seeing how it's actually really smooth, the combat was really fluid. I didn't know what to expect because I knew that Final Fantasy VII originally was a turn-based RPG, but this does not feel like a standard RPG. This is heavily action-based. It feels more like a hack and slash as opposed to like an RPG, and you know, we meet some characters along the way. There's this girl who gives a flower that I kind of feel like she's probably more important to the story than leads on because she has all these Dementor things around her, but whatever. There's also like a train sequence where you get on a train and you're with this party of people, and that's kind of where I ended off because I believe it started chapter 3 and I didn't, you know, want to push any further. I played it for like, I think 30 to 40 minutes, so I felt like that was enough time for me to, you know, have with the game, and it was really freaking solid. The combat felt really fun to do. It took me a little while to understand it because I had never played the game before, like I said, so there were a lot of mechanics and things that I had to kind of get a hold of on the fly, but I feel like I did a pretty good job. There was like a kind of mini boss character, I forget his name, but he was like head of like the security or like the police of the town that I had to take down, and I didn't die, so that's a good thing. I thought all of these games looked and played so well, and again, I played them all on the Switch too, so from what I've played, if you are interested in any of these games, I would say the Switch 2 version is a highly viable option. It feels so weird, a game like Final Fantasy VII Remake running on a Nintendo handheld. Like, that's just absolutely crazy to me. I can't wait to see how these perform in docked mode, but I am actually really grateful and glad that I did get to experience in handheld mode, since that's primarily how I play Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo Switch titles in general. So I really had a great time with these titles. Final Fantasy VII Remake does not have a release date on the Nintendo Switch 2 as far as I know, but I do know that Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD has one, and it's this date. I'm so sorry that I can't remember the date off the top of my head. This is an unscripted video because I gotta make it kind of fast. But what do you guys think of what you saw of the gameplay? Let me know down in the comments down below. I would truly appreciate to hear what you all have to say. And again, thank you so much to Square Enix for inviting me at PAX to go and play these demos. The people at Square Enix have always been so nice to me. I'm a smaller channel that doesn't really cover Square Enix games that much, but they still treat me like royalty. They're so amazing to me, and I love that. I love them, and they're just all great. So definitely check these games out when they come out on the Nintendo Switch 2 at their respective dates. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. All of that stuff down below. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of whenever I upload videos. And check out the merch store. There's some cool ZakPak merch up on there for you to check out. Until next time, you guys, I will see you all in the next video.